Okay, this is the eclipse reading for Sharon. So what I've got here is, it's called a tri-wheel. This inner ring, this is your birth chart or natal wheel. And then this is going to be everything that's happening in the first eclipse, this first ring. And then this is everything that's happening on the second eclipse. So the first eclipse is on a new moon eclipse on excuse me, it's funny I said November, I was going to say November. But of course it's April 30th, but in November, let me just pull out. So there's eclipses in November too. There's going to be a lunar eclipse at 8 on November 8th. So it's funny I just accidentally said that. I mean, I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't trying to, it's definitely like a slip of the tongue, but a lot of times those slip of the tongues mean something. So some of this stuff, well, I mean, they're connected. They're both going to be in Scorpio, the ones that are happening now and then the ones in October, November. So maybe something might roll into later, but let's finish my thought here. So this first one is April 30th. That's the new moon eclipse. This is really powerful for initiating new beginnings. This second one on May 16th is the full moon eclipse. This is really powerful for, things coming to fruition, and then also really powerful to release in your chart. Just the eclipse point itself, in each case, the eclipse point is right here in the first one. But we're not just everything that's going on here. This is a snapshot of the energy at that moment. So it's not just this little point right here. It's everything in this wheel is a snapshot of the energetic signature for the eclipse itself and part of it. Okay, but let's start with the eclipse point itself. So it's at 10 Taurus, Sun and Moon conjunct at 10 Taurus. This is in your first house. It's just coming into your second house, so might be a little tie-in with some money and finance, but really it's about you and your role in it is what the guides are coming through with. So that could be like your role in just about anything pretty much. But this is like looking at yourself in a big way. And you've got Chiron in your first house too. So, Chiron going through your first house can be a little bit rough. It's been there for a minute. It's been there for a couple years, or at least a good year or so. And Chiron really does, it brings up a lot of stuff, but that some of it, and a lot of it doesn't feel good. A lot of it is like, oh, I made this huge mistake, or, oh, I'm wasting my life, or this isn't the imposter syndrome and all this kind of stuff. But that's not Chiron's intention as it goes through your chart. And as it's going through your chart, it's really wanting you to heal old wounds. So when these old things come up, these old, the guy has these old adages, okay. Well, I mean, it could be some old adages that would apply, but what I'm talking about is like these old scenarios, of things that went wrong, and basically things that make you feel like shit, just to be really blunt, things that make you feel like shit. And then, it's not to just make you feel like shit, again, it's to look at it through the higher wisdom of, you're in your born in the 60s, yeah, right? So yeah, you're in my age range. I was also born in the 60s. So it's to make you come at it with a different, through the eyes of the wise elder now, because you have that Saturn. It's going to be hitting your Saturn too. It's not there yet, but it's coming up on it. So, it's for you being the adult, or looking at it through the eyes of the wise elder, or trying to see things from a higher perspective of your higher self, whatever. And it's really meant to like purge and be rid of it. And in the first house too, well, it could be head, and it's Aries too, so it could be head, like headaches or things like that. But this could also, this talks about stuff that's in your physical body that you've got to clear. This is a big clearing. It's an opportunity to clear things. If something comes up and it's just like, oh, don't beat yourself up, like, oh, I thought I was over that. Some kind of, like shame. A lot of it is like shame, guilt kind of stuff. This new moon eclipse could really give you that boost, because it is in the first house, that really give you that boost to, claim your power and not, purge the shame and release it, if it's still like blockages in your body, but in particular, again, with your head, or even sinus, head, things like that. I usually don't go into health or anything. That's slightly into health, and I'm, of course, not a medical doctor, but that was kind of coming through there. All right, so it's conjunct the Uranus. That's the big news about this whole eclipse thing, just in general for everybody. The new moon eclipse is conjunct Uranus. Well, in your case, it's straddling both houses. You got the new moon itself, the solar eclipse, in your first house, but the Uranus has moved into your second house. So that's why we're going to tie in some of this money stuff. You know, Uranus in the second, you could really have a big turnabout in your finances. They're talking about stock market. I mean, I know very little. I don't play stocks. I've had a few hunches on stocks over the years, but I don't study them, and I don't know a whole bunch about it. But they're talking about some kind of turnabout on some kind of stocks or something. Stocks and bonds or something like that. Like, I feel like it's, you know, it almost feels to me like gambling. But of course, I'm not advising you to gamble or anything. But it feels like that. But I mean, I guess playing the stocks is kind of a gamble, you know, or a risk. I mean, I don't know. But it feels like it could be some turnabout, like, you know, or you could hear about it. This could be where it comes to you, and then it's a turn of fate or something like that. It's coming through as. The other big news during both eclipses is this big conjunction in stellium in Pisces here. So we've got Neptune, Venus, and Jupiter all here. And they're in stellium together. Now, they're looking like they're closer, but even though your stuff's in Aries, your Chiron, North Node, and Venus are all in the low degrees of Aries, this is still coming in for a close enough contact. So again, with it being your 12th house, though, you know, you're really purging some old things. And looking at your natal placement here of the Chiron being conjunct your North Node in the 12th house, too. Well, it's an interesting dichotomy, actually, in your case, because the 12th house is finishing, you know, finishing up old karma, finishing up old things. But this is 0 Aries. Both of these are 0 Aries, which is the exact beginning of the astrological chart. So it's definitely a transitionary kind of from a karmic level. Dipping into a soul level a tiny bit here is that, you know, you're finishing up a lot of karma, but you're also starting a new cycle. I feel like you're kind of branching off in a new direction, and this could all bring that to the forefront, these transits to this. You know, this could really bring it to the forefront and make you aware of it. Even though it's still in the 12th house, really subtle, might come through dreams, could be a lot of dealing with things from the past, you know, past people and past lives. But the other thing I wanted to mention before I jump off of this karmic stuff is that you have Chiron conjunct your North Node in your natal wheel, and you were born with this, and your Venus too. But healing these old wounds, this Chiron type of healing, everything that's, you know, I was talking about a few minutes ago about the healing and all this, you know, in your body and all this other stuff. You know, that's really big part of your soul mission too, you know. Big part of the soul mission. And it's conjunct your Venus, so it's going to tie into love and maybe creativity too. Love and creativity are definitely getting activated because of the Venus connection. And the vertex is on there, so that's that point of fate. And it's right on, you know, by coming up to your ascendant. So you're absolutely crossing on your threshold, you know, over this time frame between the two eclipses, because this will be moved over. We'll talk about that when we get to the second wheel, but it's going to cross over. It's Venus is here, and then the second time it's here, so it's crossing over and it's passing right by your natal Venus. So you're having this Venus return amidst this whole eclipse cycle. So Venus energy very highlighted. You know, again, definitely romance, possibly somebody from the past, could be something from a past life. But because we have this action too here, I got the smudge burning and it's just going kind of a little ape shit here. I'm trying to like douse it out a little, maybe it's too much. We have this, but you need some clearing. I guess you need some clearing, or I do, something, right? But we're talking about this Venus stuff, yeah. You know, there's this clearing out, but the Uranian, that we're going with the money thing. So this could be money, because you got this Uranus in the second house, this Jupiter coming up and going to hit your Venus. Let me see, let me grab my ephemeris on that one. I'm not sure if it's going into Aries, but I'm not sure if it's going to get all the way up to the 4-degree mark there, which is also your ascendant. Let's see where that Jupiter's going to get to. Yeah, it is going to get there in June. So it's going to cross over into your first house in the next couple of months, and to hit the Venus on the way. So big time luck, love, prosperity, really igniting all that stuff. it stems from you, though. I mean, this first house stuff, it's going to stem from you and your outlook and you stepping. I really feel, even though the Saturn grabs me with this, and I just feel like it's like you stepping into this adult role, like doing maybe some inner child work, or just, seeing things from an adult perspective. And these are wounds that have probably been carried around for, quite some time. Here's my sheet with all my aspect notes on it. Yeah, so we've got that happening. The other thing is with this transiting Saturn. Where's the transiting Saturn? It's over here in your 11th, about to go into your 12th. Still in a pretty close conjunction with your sun energy. So this has been an ongoing transit as well, where we've got Saturn on the sun. This is a once every 27, 28 year cycle. This is, the 11th house is a lot of things, but I really put it mostly with groups and associates, people that you are associating with and groups that you belong to. So that could be changing too. I mean, it's really also because of its 11th house, it's time for you to, and there's such an emphasis here on this first house with the Chiron and the eclipse, it's time for you to like forge your own trail, forge your own path, not be so concerned with going along with the crowd, or maybe even joining in with another crowd. The people who are meant to be in your life will still be around after this Saturn-Sun transit that you're going through. But a lot of you might see a lot fall from the wayside, or maybe groups that you felt like I think that the COVID, that's one of the things with COVID, I don't like bars anyway myself. I was raised in a bar, but I used to go because of the music and the jams and stuff. And, being 2 years away from it and then just going back to a jam, it's kind of like, I really don't want to be in a bar at all. I realized, so that was a group that I'd been associated with my whole life in one form or another. And then even after my family, that whole thing was done through the music scene, is in the bars, when you're playing with bands. And it's just like I'm 2 years away from it, and it's just like, this energy really doesn't settle with me. I'm really not on the same page. Because over the 2 years myself, I've grown a lot in spirituality, I think, through this hermit phase. But it doesn't have to be necessarily those particular things, but you will be, and it could be, too, groups that you're kind of rejoining with after a couple of years of COVID, because that's about it. It's been a good year and a half or so since Saturn's been transiting over your sun there. Let's see when Saturn started getting in that range of your sun at 17 degrees. Well, it really hasn't been that long, but it was 2021, all of 2021 it was in there. And particularly earlier this year it came the closest. It's going to keep, for the rest of the year, be an orb with your sun. So you're still in the process of this whole thing, but it's going to involve groups that you, and I feel like, too, with the first house stuff, a lot, it might be more like putting yourself first, and that's a transit that's happening in both times, and it's squaring with the nodes. This could be work friends and associates, too. Keeping with the music scenario, you always want to play in bands with people that are better than you. You don't want to be the one, playing with people that are not as good as you. So you always want to reach for the next thing, And that could be also some of your contacts and people that you're involved with in some kind of financial and business way. That could be getting with this Saturn square the node thing. There's Mercury trine Pluto, and the Pluto is on your own natal Mercury too. During this whole time, this is also an ongoing transit. People, you've outgrown some things. There could be people dying in your friend group too. That probably already has been happening. Well, that's when we get to a certain age, I think. These jokes, I go do Facebook to see all my old friends, and it just turns into an obituary page. Everybody who died all of a sudden. But, it's just part of getting older. But Mercury, you could hear news that's life-changing regarding some big group of people that you may be involved with. Now, the transiting Mercury is in your second house of money, yeah. So this is coming out of the second and going into the 11th. The second house of money, 11th house of also money from the career and hopes, wishes, and dreams, When I said hopes, wishes, and dreams, that really resonated very strong for you. This could be some hopes, wishes, and dreams, but I think, it's going to take some big drastic kind of shift. With Pluto, it's probably not going to be a real smooth or just a slight, just a little bit of a slight adjustment. Pluto is usually a pretty big, change, big paradigm shift kind of stuff. And Pluto is the ruler of the second eclipse here, which is also on your natal thing. But I want to just finish up with any other transits that I missed. I think that's about it. Yeah, so then during that time frame of the between these two eclipses, now let's go right to the point of the second one first. And there's just a few things that change. Like the Saturn transit, it's not going. Pluto transit, that's ongoing deal here. But the second eclipse is over here in your 8th house. Now this is a full moon lunar eclipse on the 16th. So this is going to be, revealing things. That's the strongest vibe I get for you, is revealing things. Things are going to be revealed. Now I'm hearing that Zeppelin tune. All will be revealed. Ba 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 da 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 da. Kashmir. All will be revealed, they're saying. Yeah. About some kind of a thing. There could be, and this is such a weird term, but they're coming through with swindling or swindler. I just need to drink water real quick. So you could find out that something's, they're saying in the nick of time. So maybe it's something you're thinking about investing in or getting involved with, even potentially through some of these maybe new contacts and stuff. And I feel like you find out some news and it's just like, ooh, because now I'm hearing I dodged a bullet on that one. Or it could have been something from the past too, because you got all that 12th house action. Maybe it was like, oh, a regret. Oh, I should have took that job at that company. Well, turns out they're gone. And you're like, oh, dodged a bullet on that one. If I would have. So this thing that it feels like something that you were hanging on to. You're going to find out that it really was for your highest good, and it was actually a good move that it all went down the way it was. But 8th house too is, joint finances, money from a partnership. So if you're in a relationship, this could be your partner's money and stuff. Something happening in that sector. But also affecting you for sure. And on your case, it's going to be right on your Mars. Well, this is also the house of sex. It's death and sex, and you have Mars there natally. So, it could just be kind of like really feeling sexual all of a sudden, or meeting somebody that you have this really strong sexual attraction with, and it's undeniable kind of thing. If you're already in a relationship, then it could be, maybe you're just in a peak where you're more together, it wanes, it ebbs and flows, sexuality usually a lot of times in relationships. So, and in life, so you can just be in a very sexual, space, and really, that could be a big thing that's going on for you at that time. You're part of fortunes there too. I feel like they're saying you're ready to dig into something. It could be the sex thing too. We're not going to rule that out. But more strongly, I'm getting, that there's some kind of work thing, and you can't wait to sink your teeth into this project or this thing. That you're going to find out about it and start working on it, or have an opportunity to work on it, or something like that. All right, so that's the full moon itself. There's only a few things that actually change during this time frame, but the one is so key for you because it's that Venus. And Jupiter moves into Aries too. That's another thing that changes. But this is really important for you because the Venus has gone by and it's conjunct the Chiron in your 1st house. So this is bringing home so much of this self-healing. And what I get stronger is like self-forgiveness. I really get self-forgiveness. Like things that I just felt like I got punched in the gut. Like I got short of breath, like I got my diaphragm, like I got punched in the gut or something. So that, I don't know. If there's something that gives you that kind of feeling, that might be the thing that's coming forward to getting healed. I want to look exactly when it's going to, I don't have the Chiron ephemeris. Let me grab my phone instead of switching screens. Let me grab a Chiron ephemeris on here real quick. Because I want to let you know, well, I could do Venus. That's more what I was looking at, not Chiron. What am I talking about? Venus. I want to let you know exactly when that Venus return is, because it's between these 2 points here. And the Venus return is going to be at 4 degrees of Aries. What am I looking at here? 4 degrees of Aries. Okay, that's going to be right around 6th of May, May 6th. So you're feeling it definitely at the at the time of, but even it's going to be an orb all the way through. Let's say really the whole month of May. It's pretty much in orb here. But that's super powerful, and it could be somebody coming back from the past, but I feel like it's you getting a new perspective. That's the stronger vibe, or that's more the highest, the highest expression of this energy would be like you getting a new lease on things that happen, and it feels like things about guilt and shame, like you can remember these instances and not have those feelings attached to them. Not having those feelings attached to those things, just somehow it moving to some other level, and it just frees you up, and it just frees your energy so much, and having these profound, really profound healing experiences. But you've got to not shy away from it. You didn't come into this life to shy away from anything here. You've got Chiron conjunct your North Node, and you've got Saturn in the first house. So you're dealing with the karma. You're dealing. This isn't a life that you're going to just coast right through, and a resting life. You're in the thick of it all. And it shows right up in your natal chart there. Okay, so that's one of the big shifts that happens. The other thing that happens is Mercury just goes a little bit, but then Jupiter not only doesn't cross your threshold of your first house, but changes sign into Aries. And that's pretty cool for you. Jupiter's coming in so much closer orb to your Venus. So that is just so much love. Again, it could be some outside person from the past, but I really feel like it's just you, so much love, and loving yourself like through all the stages of life. Like I'm seeing like even things like you went through as an awkward teen even, or these growing pains and stuff. And just like, really seeing the beauty in all of that. I definitely am seeing like a girl who's like, you being at the age of, that awkward, like preteen or junior high kind of age. I'm seeing somebody with a plaid skirt and kind of on somebody on the chubby side. So if you weren't chubby, this could be a karma with some certain person that you were involved with at that time. Another girl that was in, that you might have some karmic stuff. It could be, I don't know, were you mean to somebody even? Did you pick on somebody else? And do you still carry that karma and that guilt, Because those are things. Or just, I never picked on anybody, but I definitely, I was kind of a heartbreaker, I guess, And I feel bad about some of these guys that I, broke up with. They really didn't do anything wrong. I just, well, I didn't love them, I guess. You know what I mean? But, those kind of things. It's not always like you're being the victim. It could be where you hurt other people. We all hurt other people in this life, So where you've hurt other people. So I don't know if you hurt that girl, or she you, whatever. But she did. I did get that vision of that girl. I think she has glasses too. She's definitely chubby, and I think there's a lot of subconsciousness about being chubby, So that's got to be healed. This healing this is a profound healing thing for you that can just really, you could just go forth in so much power. I mean, you're not having your Saturn return right now. Where's your Saturn at? Oh, it's here, yeah. I mean, you're going to have your Saturn return in the next 5 years or so, and it'll be in your first house. See, this is an opportunity for you to, before you get to your Saturn, this is the prep work for your Saturn return, the precursor, the pre-game or whatever for your Saturn return. Let me just find out Saturn at 20 Aries. That's a little ways off, yeah, it looks like. Let's go. It's in 2027, yeah, so that's a little ways off. That's like, yeah, 5 years. That's what I said, about 5 years. But this is the precursor. So it really is an opportunity, because, you get to this Saturn return, you don't want all this heavy shit laid on you right at that time. So it's going through, and it's coming through all your Chiron and all this stuff, really bringing out these things that you came to heal. And these situations and patterns, they dive into past lives too. So there's some real deep stuff going on with you, only because you have all this 12th house in your natal chart anyway, and there's this huge concentration, and then we got the Saturn. But the eclipses themselves are happening in your money houses, just to get back down to real, like, kind of predictive things. So there could absolutely be, money, financial things that could pop up at this time. This, again, I feel like you get some news and it's just like, dodged a bullet on that one. Good thing I never bought that stock, or quit my job for that company, because where would I be now? I'm hearing I'd be up shit creek. Oh, jeez. All right, so that's the reading. The good news is Saturn's, only going to be on here for a little while longer. That's going to have been a tough time for you too with the Saturn on your thing. So that's another thing that'll be moving on and moving forward. So coming through, but it's time to do the work when you're getting all this Saturn Chiron stuff. It's time to get down to business with the karmic soul growth stuff. Okay. All right. So that's the reading. I recommend that you watch it more than once, because first of all, you won't catch what I say the first time through. You'll miss stuff. And then so listen to it a few times just to get it all in your head. And then secondly, come back to it, because some of this stuff, the eclipse itself lasts 6 months to a year even, but some of these transits I talked about, they're into next year and whatever, so that's my recommendation to get the most out of it. You can do what you want with it. It's your reading, but it'll be up on YouTube forever, so you can watch it as many times as you want. Thanks for ordering. I'm going to get it up for you this afternoon.